Hello friends and followers. This video is going to be about me finishing my 2-week pomelo / pamplemousse fast here in Auri Island, Vanuatu. First, I'm just going to talk about my results and what I would do differently. I didn't have everything that I needed for the protocol that I was given, so I kind of just did what I could, which was basically just eating the fruit. I juiced most of it and ate when I felt like it, but inevitably would give up because it takes too long to eat and you get sick of the pith with citrus pretty quickly. So it was mostly juice for 2 weeks. I'll just quickly touch upon the beginning in case you didn't watch my week 1 update. But the first day was pretty rough. There was obviously an obstruction in my GI tract, so the second day had to go back to the bananas to get the volume to help push that stuff out. But then from that point on, it was day after day of pomelos, mostly juice. By the end, I was only having about 2 liters and it was all hand squeezed, so that definitely played a part. If I had a proper juicer, I would have done more, but I was also still urinating a lot, and personally I don't like getting up a lot during the night. The 2 liters plus a bit of water in the morning with some lemon, I went down to as much as 200 ml, I believe, and as much as a litre. So just watch out with that. You want to dilute it if you don't have a straw, because lemon juice can be pretty harsh on the teeth. So can all citrus. So I wasn't having as many bowel movements as I would have liked, which can make you feel a bit sluggish. That's where the enemas come in, along with the herbs and the binders. That was something that we were, as part of this group, given the directive to do, and I definitely would have, because it makes you feel so much better. But I didn't have access to any of that. It was kind of signed up to on a whim. I wasn't planning on doing this when I first traveled here, but I'm glad I did it nonetheless. So enemas, herbs, and binders, that's gonna help pull toxins, parasites, whatever, old waste out, so it's not stuck inside and you're not just relying on the astringency and the volume of juice to push stuff out and clean your bowels. Overall, energy levels were quite good. It does fluctuate, but there were definitely days where I felt on and had trouble getting to sleep. Other days I was very tired. So it really depended on what I was doing during the day. Some days were quite strenuous and I didn't get to have my juice until quite late on. So it was almost a dry fast some of these days. But you just keep going. There's something about fasting in general, whether it's water, juice, dry fasting, this inner determination kind of turns on and you have this mental clarity that just allows you to persevere and remove that self-doubt in a lot of situations. So how do we break a fast? If you've never done a juice fast or a water fast before, I'm just going to give you some information on that and what I would do, as well as some points of view from other people that I've gleaned information from. The process is slightly different depending on the fast that you've done, if it's juice, water, dry fasting, which I haven't done a whole lot with yet, so I won't touch on that, but we're going to focus on juice fasting for this. Regardless of the fast that you've done, I would always break with fruit, or if you really want to dial it back and you've been water fasting, it could be a broth of some kind, some easy to digest vegetables. If it's water, you could also do fruit juice, but if you're coming from a fruit juice like I did, then you want to go to your juicier fruits, or even start eating the fruit that you have been juicing. For me, that was pomelo. I had some for my last meal last night mixed with the juice to kind of wake up the digestive system again and get something in there. And then today I broke with just over 1 kilo of apples. The juicier the fruit, the better. We want to hydrate the GI tract Fruits like that are easy to digest. They have insoluble fiber, like apples, called pectin, which is going to bulk up the stool and help move anything out that was stuck in there during the fast, especially if you haven't been doing the enemas. As you progress through your transition out of the fast, you want to gradually work in denser fruits with less water content and more calories. During this time, you want to avoid heavy starches and proteins. These are really going to burden your system. It's quite hard for the kidneys to process the waste products from these. So you want to wait at least a week until your digestive system gets warmed back up to eating and is passing consistent bowel movements before you work these back in. So no potatoes, sweet potatoes, any of the tubers, nuts, probably a no-go as well. Definitely no meats if you eat that stuff until further down the track. So once you are eating again, my biggest tip here is to eat intuitively. Listen to your body. Don't stuff yourself, but you don't want to undereat either. You want enough bulk in your GI tract to move stuff through and have a decent bowel movement, because depending on the stuff that you've been juicing and how much you're filtering it, I was filtering the juice quite heavily, and there's not a lot of pulp in citrus juice. Once you filter it, your bowel movements aren't going to be all that consistent, especially if you're not doing enemas. So you want to start having decent bowel movements straight away. Keep track of the time it takes once you break the fast. How long does it take for you to feel stuff turning on and moving? Because that can give you an indication of how successful the fast was and what potential work you might still have to do. So depending on where you get your fruit from is going to depend on what's available, obviously. I went to a local market across the water here, and you basically just use your senses. Buy what calls to you. Give the fruits a smell. Obviously you're not going to be able to taste them there at the market, but just use your intuition. Whatever calls to you, that's generally what I would break the fast with, and it's going to be the most enjoyable. So as I said, you want to progress to heavier foods over time as to not injure yourself. So the minimum transition time out of a fast that I would recommend is the time that you fasted for, and then divide it by 4. And then you can break that time up into 3 different sections. So the first bit, they're going to be your liquid and juicy fruit combo. You're then going to move into fruit-only meals. The third portion will be non-starchy vegetables, your cruciferous vegetables, your leafy stuff. And then after that period, you can start working in the heavier, starchier foods. So if you've done an extended juice fast, which is a bit of an arbitrary period of time, but there is one method by a man called John Rose. His method is to use prunes that you've soaked overnight. And that's really the best way that he believes to gauge what your digestive system is like, how clean it is, and if you need to keep going or if you're sufficiently done for this period. So you soak about 8 ounces of prunes in water overnight. They should almost double in weight. And then you eat those all at once. Make sure to chew thoroughly. Digestion starts in the mouth. It's an alkaline environment for us humans, and we want to masticate the food so it's a liquid really. Drink your food and chew your juices, as the saying goes. So then what happens after you eat the prunes is going to dictate how well you did, and it's a gauge of your internal environment. If you have a bowel movement straight away, it's highly likely there's stuff still in there that needed to come out. Prunes, dates, all these drier type fruits are quite laxative, so that's why we use them. So if it's too quick, stuff comes out too fast, you probably need to keep going. I would go back on the juices for a period of time, maybe another week, to help clear that out, as well as the enemas. If it's too slow, then there might also be an obstruction, and that's where the enemas will help, but also massaging the stomach area. There are specific ways to do this to get the most benefit. Basically just work around your stomach area, find out where your valves are from your small intestine to your colon, and colon to rectum, whatnot. This is really going to help. You can often hear things moving once you hit the right spot, so that's really going to assist you into eliminating better, getting that toxic stuff out that we don't want in. So that was a little bit about breaking a juice fast. From now, I'll be eating apples and bananas for the next 4 days. That's what I've got from the markets. And then after that time, I'll see how I feel and what's available. I probably won't go onto any of the drier fruits or the protein/fats until I'm back home in Australia, which is about another week. To start slow, keep it simple, mono meals. If you absolutely have to, you can work in a salad, but I would stay away from the starches, as I said, and the proteins. Just keep it light and hydrating, and you can't really go wrong. So thank you for watching this video, guys. If you'd like to learn more about the principles I teach and what I think is required to achieve true health and vitality, go to the link in the description and I'll send you through a copy of my free guide. And if you want to achieve your health goals faster, I specialize in reversing disease and pain-free movement. You can book a free consult with me at the link in my bio also.